What's going on, everybody? Hope everyone watching this is doing well. Today, I'm going to be going over the Elite Performance Accelerator. So this is how I went from averaging 5 points and 4 rebounds to 20 points and 9 rebounds in one offseason. So just to get into it, in this video, I'm going to show you how I went from averaging 5 points and 4 rebounds in one season to 20 points and 9 rebounds the next. This transformation happened after just one offseason, and your child can achieve the same kind of results by following the Elite Performance Accelerator. So my specialized program, the Elite Performance Accelerator, is a very intensive, hands-on program designed to help basketball players get out of their own way and consistently and predictably deliver performances that not only elevate their game, but also take their lives and careers and those of their families to the next level. So I like to start off with a story. So my dad is Alonzo Mourning. He played 16 years in the NBA, was first team All-NBA a couple times, I believe, was 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion with the Miami Heat in 2006. I want to say he's like a 7-time All-Star, so he's achieved a whole lot. So my dad once asked Michael Jordan, and this is during All-Star weekend, he says, "Mike, how do you average 30 points a game?" And they were in the locker room, like I said, for All-Star weekend, and Mike replied, "Zoe, can you score 2 buckets a quarter?" And my dad's like, "Of course," right? And Mike followed up with saying, "Can you get to the free throw line twice a quarter?" And again, my dad agreed, and Michael said, "Okay, finally, can you make 3 out of 4 free throws?" My dad's like, "Yeah, of course." And the way Michael broke it down, right, that's already 28 points, plus the 3-pointers and the quarters when you go off. Like, this is something that taught me that it's about breaking the game down and making it simpler than it was before, right? So based off of this in terms of math, right, if you have 2 buckets a quarter, that's 16 points, right, alone if you're playing a 4-quarter game. From there, not to mention getting to the free throw line and going 3 for 4, that's another 12 points. That's 28. Plus what Mike is saying, you go off, you hit a couple threes, you have some and ones. Whatever it looks like, it's going to look different as the game goes on. And also it gets a lot simpler than what you thought before. Because 30 points to anybody seems like a lot, most people. But when you break it down, the best of the best, it seems really simple to them. Like, you look at a guy like Nikola Jokic nowadays, he's not averaging a triple-double, but he's putting up some amazing stat lines, right? Whether it be here with the Serbian national team. And to him, he just steps out on the court and does it, right? Not to say he hasn't put in a lot of hard work, because this requires work. At the same time, there's so much that can be achieved in a much simpler way when we start to break it down like this. So can you imagine the possibilities for your child with the right guidance? Right? Just imagine your child being able to think simpler, right? Maybe you came here because your child is actually overthinking on the court. Just imagine all that's possible besides them no longer overthinking. Think about all the things, the good things that can come from it rather than just eliminating the overthinking. Like, doesn't that sound exciting? So who this is for, right? This program is for parents of young high-level basketball players who play on both their high school team or their travel team, right? Showing consistent performance, eligibility, and teamwork throughout the year with potential to play in college or professionally. It's very, very, very specific, right? I'll get into the descriptions as we go along, so I'll just run through this. The ideal player is at least in 8th grade, preparing for or currently in high school, not yet in college, right? And for seniors, they should be ready to make the most of a full season. This isn't for somebody who has a month left in their season, senior season, and they're trying to figure it out. This isn't for you, right? They should be ready to make the most of a full season with time to build their performance and attract offers from the right schools, right? The player is mature enough to be coached effectively and has the readiness to understand and apply deeper basketball concepts, right? This is basketball philosophy. This is basketball in depth in ways that you haven't seen it before, right? Think about this, and I'll talk about it later in this video. It's not necessarily what you don't know that can be harmful to you. It's what you don't know that can sneak up on you and take you down. So this program will prepare you as parents and the player in your life for what it is that you all don't know that you don't know. So the player loves basketball and is self-motivated and is a true student of the game, right? Something that I can't teach as a coach. I can't teach somebody to love something that they don't love. It has to be something that's within them already. And you as parents need to be long-term thinkers who see the big picture, such as potential for free college tuition, and are willing to invest financially in their child's development. Because think about it this way, and I'll talk about this again. If college is 6 figures, right? You have to be willing to make the investment up front right now. And I'm not talking about a 6-figure investment. I want to actually talk about the price of the program that I'm going to be discussing in this video. What I'm actually going to be doing is laying it out in a certain way where all the value is presented, and you really understand that at the end of the day, if your goal is to avoid paying 6 figures and have your child graduate college with a bunch of college debt and student loans, right? An investment right now goes a long way, and it makes actually practical sense in terms of achieving these goals that you have for your child and for your family, right? Parents, you have to be humble. You have to be open to learning and willing to acknowledge areas where you lack expertise, right? Even if you think you know basketball very well. I can't tell you how many times, how many parents, and this is something that we see in AAU nowadays. There's a lot of parents who want to be the coach, right? There's a lot of parents who act like they know what it takes in order to have a successful pro career and really sustain a pro career, right? And fortunately enough, I've been able to see it as a player myself playing. My career is not over. I'm in the middle of my playing career. I'm 28 years old. Most recently, I was in New Zealand, averaging 20-9. And I've seen my father, an NBA Hall of Famer, play 16 years. And he overcame some tremendous adversity, which if you're a basketball fan, you know of in terms of his kidney transplant and some of the things he went through. So I've seen not just success in my own career, I've seen what it takes to maintain success and set up the right systems. And that's what I'm going to be helping you do as a family. The player exhibits intangible qualities such as generosity and teamwork, embodying an abundance mindset and wanting the entire team to succeed, right? Your son or daughter can't be a ball hog. They can't be somebody who is about me, because that affects the group. And this is about abundance thinking and expanding the mindset to be able to tackle some of the bigger issues. Because at the end of the day, this is just a game, right? This is a game that can do a lot of good in your life. And what this program equips you to do is to use basketball so it never uses you, right? This is for players who have strong skills, but need support to unlock their full potential by developing mental toughness and simplifying their game, right? Your son or daughter can have the skills, have the tools on the court, whether it be athletic ability or the skills with the basketball itself. And they're just lacking that mental toughness, right? To take it to the next level, to really overcome some of the adversities that they're going to face at the next level that you as a parent may know are coming, right? And this is also, lastly, for families who are committed to their child's long-term growth in basketball, seeking more than a quick fix and are focused on sustainable success. So I want to work with people who are, or I do work with people who are long-term thinkers in terms of, okay, how can we use basketball over the long term with this God-given skill set to play this game that a lot of people love around the world, to be able to bless other people with entertainment and also make the most of a fun, enjoyable, sustainable, and healthy playing career, mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, all the above, right? This program is not for parents seeking a quick fix or believing that physical training alone is sufficient for success. Parents who aren't willing to acknowledge, their own knowledge gaps or areas where they may need guidance. Players who lack commitment to long-term growth or the drive to put in consistent, necessary effort. Players who participate only in travel basketball and do not play on their school's team. This is really important too. You have to demonstrate that your child is academically eligible. You have to demonstrate that they're committed to playing with others, because sometimes on a travel team, you may get an opportunity to play on a travel team just because you're a good player, right? I don't want to work with just good players. I want to work with good people. And that's really important in terms of life and the holistic approach to basketball. This is not for families who are not prepared to invest time or money into their child's basketball future. This is an investment, right? Of time, of focus, of energy, and of money. This is not for players who, enjoy basketball, but do not have the skill level required to advance to higher levels, right? It's great that some children may enjoy playing the game, but at the end of the day, if they aren't willing to go to the higher level and don't have the skill set currently to do that, those aren't people I want to work with as well. This is for players. This is not for players who may have the talent but lack that eligibility, the teamwork, or the ability to be positive teammates. This is not for players who are either too young to grasp advanced concepts or too late in their development, such as seniors without college offers or further travel ball opportunities. And parents, you know what that means. Players, this is not for players pushed by their parents into this program or into basketball rather than self-motivated players who don't lack, right, the genuine love for the game. Like I said before, I can't teach somebody to love basketball. And this is not for players who are immature and are not curious enough to engage in the deeper concepts of the game in terms of being a student of the game, right? This is not for parents who display a know-it-all attitude, skepticism, or ulterior motives for connecting, such as personal gain, whether it be my own personal resources, my Rolodex of contacts, my information. That's for people who are in my program. Yeah, I'm happy to help. At the same time, I want to work with people who want to help themselves. And when I see people are helping themselves, I'm more inclined to help them, right? And lastly, this is not for players with a scarcity mindset, exhibiting selfish play on the court, prioritizing individual success over teamwork. Cool. So if we're ready to move on, let's do it. So the financial commitment, right? This program requires an investment of both time and money. The reason I'm not discussing the exact price in this video is because it will change over time, right? However, you need to be prepared to make a financial commitment when we hop on a call. Parents, you need to be ready to get on a call with me and be prepared to move forward if this program feels like it's the right fit for you. I expect you to be ready to provide your payment information on the call. If you're just seeking more information, then I haven't done my job properly in this video. The reason this video is so thorough and the length that it is because this answers all of the questions before we hop on the call. Of course, I'm able to answer questions on the call. Of course, we're having a conversation and learn deeper concepts, right? But it is important that you go through this information. It is important that you watch this whole entire video to get an understanding of what it is you're stepping into. So we're both on the same page when you hop on the call, right? By the time you get on your call, by the time you get on your call, all questions should have been answered, and you should be ready to make a decision if this is the right program for your child. Imagine what's possible for your child if they truly commit to long-term success in basketball, if they stick with it, right? Not just for a game or a season, but for a career. These are the people who I want to work with. These are the parents who I want to work with. And I certainly hope this is you. If it's not you, click off this video, stop watching. If it is you, let us continue. So, in terms of main content, right? You might think physical training is all your child needs, but the real game changer is mental toughness. My first 4 years in college, and I played ball at Georgetown University, I barely played, right? 3 of those years I didn't get much playing time, and in my 4th year I got injured and had a medical red shirt, which means I had to sit out for a season because of a hip surgery that I had, which is a really, really big injury. In my 5th year, I came back, and in the first game of that season, I scored more points, had more rebounds, and played more minutes than I had in my entire college basketball career combined, right? That's when I learned how mental toughness can completely change the game because I've lived it, right? I went through 3 years of adversity. Imagine your child being able to go through 3 years of adversity, 4 years of adversity. I know some parents have been working with a child for years and years and years. Imagine what it would feel like to finally have that breakthrough and erupt for a big performance like that, right? And be able to maintain it consistently. Wouldn't it be incredible to see your child break through some of those same barriers? Just imagine that, right? In terms of affordability, you might think investing in your child's development is expensive, but think about the cost of them not earning a scholarship. I can't tell you how many parents I've spoken to recently who want their child to have free education, right? When I ask people, it's like, what's the goal in your child's basketball career? And they're like, oh, free education, right? But you don't want to make an investment right now in the short term to be able to have that free education. That math doesn't math, right? It's like a fire, right? Some people want heat from a fire, but in order to have heat from a fire, you need to give the fire wood, right? It's a giving and then receiving type of relationship. And I hope this video gives you a whole lot of value. The money you're spending on AAU and travel gear adds up. In the Elite Performance Accelerator, your child's game is completely simplified. This simplifies the game, teaching your child to see it like a professional by stepping back, not by grinding harder, right? More of the same work that isn't working doesn't end up working in the long term. It just makes you more tired. And I know parents, sometimes you might actually feel tired yourselves, traveling to all these games, leaving, working a long week of work, right? And then hopping in the car on Saturday morning or Sunday morning and making that drive to the AAU tournaments, right? I spoke to a parent recently who drove 7 hours the other weekend to go to an AAU tournament, right? And they stayed in the same state, right? Just imagine people who are traveling cross country and hopping on planes for all these tournaments. Like, it's a long travel summer, and then now you're stepping into, at the time of this video, you're stepping into, season in terms of high school. So I get it. It's not about grinding. It's about working smarter, not harder. So personal investment, right? If your goal is for your child to earn a scholarship, investing in their mindset is crucial. Not making this investment could mean paying for college, out of pocket, or them taking out loans that impact them for years. Why risk that when you can invest now in something that can possibly transform your child's life, their mind, and their trajectory, and the trajectory of your family for generations to come, right? The Garrett Gunderson approach, right? So Garrett Gunderson wrote this book I really love. It's called Killing Sacred Cows. So there's a book I love called Killing Sacred Cows, and it talks about how investing in the right things early lead to long-term payoffs, right? It's not that investments are risky. People are, right? If you invest in something you don't believe will work, that's risky. But if you trust the process and believe in the program, it's not risky. It's actually wise. So that's a mindset that I want you all to develop as well. It worked for someone else, but it won't work for me, right? This is something that is a limiting belief that I hear some parents have and have talked to me about, right? And I've even struggled with it myself in some ways, to be quite honest with you. So a lot of parents think that just because it worked for somebody else doesn't mean it'll work for my child, right? But let me ask you this. If you plant the same seed in the same soil, water it in the same way, what makes you think it won't grow? If I have the same resources as you, right? And it's not necessarily about having the same resources, it's about having the right mindset, because the right mind can thrive in whatever circumstance. And if you use an excuse like, oh, your father played in the NBA, or, oh, you played professional basketball and you had resources and access to this, you don't know my life. You don't know what I had access to, what I didn't have access to, right? And I believe that there's a reason why I had certain things, and there's a reason you haven't had certain things, right? And I'm extremely grateful and blessed to have lived the life I live. At the same time, I realize that all of this stuff can be taken away in an instant, and all of it can be earned by someone else. So I have a great appreciation for what it is that I have. And I also want to drill this in your heads that this stuff is possible for you too. This is not some pie in the sky dream. This is something that's realistic, and I'm breaking it down for you in these terms so you can understand it. I've tried everything. What's so special about this program? So I've heard it all before, right? I've worked with different trainers, been to camps, clinics, and still nothing has changed. But here's what is special about my program. I have done it, right? I've walked the path your child is trying to walk. I've done it at a high level. Not only have I played professional basketball in the US and overseas, but I also played college basketball without having to grind it out in AAU. I never played AAU basketball, right? No endless travel tournaments or weekends spent on the road, right? I dominated where I was, and the scouts came to me. Scouts will find talent. It's literally their jobs to do that. Your child's job is to play their game at the highest level, and that's what I teach in this program. And that starts with mindset. Understanding roles. A big part of this program is understanding roles, both for players and parents. I know parents and players often butt heads because of misaligned expectations, but this program is different. It's not another training camp or a workout routine. It's about investing in the long-term success of your child, preparing them and your family for what comes next. When your child elevates to the next level, so does your family, right? I cannot stress this enough. I think about a guy like Michael Porter Jr., and I'll use this example. Think about Michael Porter Jr., right? When he made it to the NBA, his whole family had to level up. And for those of you who don't know, Michael Porter Jr. won an NBA championship with Denver Nuggets. He currently plays for the Denver Nuggets, and he is one of the stars on their team, right? A mistake his brother made got amplified because he's Michael Porter Jr.'s brother. His brother had bet on sports, specifically basketball. He was playing for the Toronto Raptors, and he bet on basketball games, right? And the headline didn't necessarily read, I'm forgetting his name now, his brother's name. I'm just remembering him as Michael Porter Jr.'s brother, right? And Michael Porter Jr. had to deal with some of those consequences. And I believe if a family gets elevated to a certain level, right? If your child makes it to the NBA, if your child is a standout player, they're going to start interviewing you as parents, and you need to be prepared for those interviews. You have to heal from your traumas. You have to heal from your wounds, right? And it's not about, taking the spotlight from your child. It's about, hey, you have to get better too. You can't hide. You can't just think, just because my son's in a good situation, I'm good now and I can go off and do my things and still hide my issues, right? This is about really a in-your-face approach, obviously in a respectful way, in a kind way, to be able to solve these issues, not just at a surface level, but at a deeper level that resonates with the whole entire family. So in terms of emotional readiness, right? Waiting until your child breaks down to invest until it's too late, right? I hear parents talk about emotional readiness of their children, and I think about this, right? If you wait until your child breaks down to work on their mental toughness, you've already missed the mark. Think of it like buying a coat before the first snowfall, right? You have to prepare your child for the challenges they'll face before they step onto the court, not when it's already too late. It's not just about knowing what your child needs now. It's about knowing what they need down the line. And to figure that out, you need experts who have been through it, who have walked in rooms your child wants to enter. My program is designed to give your child the tools they'll need to thrive in those environments, right? An example from my journey. When I got off the plane in New Zealand, this is where I was playing last in 2022, I was jet lagged, and I still managed to score 35 points in our first game, right? That was maybe 3 days after getting off the plane, less than 3 days after getting off the plane, right? One of my next games, I had 37 points and 17 rebounds. And in the 35-point game, I think I had like 13 rebounds. And I had a couple assists as well. So it wasn't just a one-time thing, right? I sustained those results throughout the season, right? The average ended up evening out to 20 points and 9 rebounds. Still, right? What mental preparation does allows me to get off a plane in a foreign country. Thank God they were speaking the same language, and I'll get into languages as well, because I speak several, and I'm comfortable doing that in situations around the world and here in the United States, on and off the basketball court. But yeah, mental toughness is extremely important, and it's a big part of why I was able to have success in my most recent season playing professionally in New Zealand. Your child may be too young, right? Or my child may be too young. One objection I hear often is my child is too young to join this program. Here's the truth. If your child is already showing dedication to basketball at a young age, then getting them the right support now is crucial. Think about it. If they're putting in the effort, attending workouts, and going through the motions without the right routine and mindset, they're more likely to burn out, right? I was speaking to a father last week, I believe, and he was telling me how his child would get up at 5 a.m. and do these workouts and do all these things. And I'm like, how old's the child? He's like, maybe like, I don't know, 11 or 12. He's around that age. And I'm like, okay, like if he doesn't have the right system in place and he doesn't have the right foundation in place, he's going to end up burning out. More of the wrong thing doesn't lead to better results. I'm not a big fan of, you got to work harder. No, you actually have to work smarter, right? Because it's about long-term success and sustainability. When players work hard and don't see the results they expect, they start to get frustrated. They begin to lose interest, and their confidence takes a hit. The real risk isn't that they're too young. but that they won't be mentally prepared to face adversity. I've seen this happen firsthand. There are many players who had the talent but couldn't sustain their careers because they didn't have the right mental framework to handle the pressures of the game. For example, Anthony Bennett, right? The number 1 pick in the NBA draft. This is probably 10 years ago now. Right? He didn't pan out as expected. And while the physical skills were there, the mental side of the game held him back. And it derailed his career from what it could have become. Right? And of course, I want to respect these guys who I'm bringing up, Michael Porter Jr. and his family and Anthony Bennett. These aren't people who I know personally. We maybe cross paths in basketball and know some of the same people. That being said, these are real life examples of things that have happened. And just because there are things behind the scenes that we may not know, I think it's telling, right? You know a tree by its fruit, and you could see different fruit and different results that happen in people's lives. And it's unfortunate to see some of these stories like Anthony Bennett and Michael Porter Jr. and his family and his brother. So that being said, the earlier your child learns to develop mental resilience and emotional toughness, the more prepared they will be, not just to play at a high level, but to stay at a high level. Right? The value of long-term growth. The goal isn't just to make it to college or the NBA. It's to thrive once they get there. My father played 16 years in the NBA and overcame a kidney transplant. He went from the brink of retirement to winning an NBA championship. That's the kind of resilience I want to instill in your child. That's actually the name of my father's book, Resilience. Wouldn't it be incredible for your child to walk onto the court prepared for anything because they've already faced those challenges in their mind? Just think about that. Think about the confidence, think about the boldness that your child is going to have stepping out onto the court after going through this program with that S on their chest, right? Generational wealth in basketball. So, wealth is about creating value. Wealth isn't just about making money. It's about creating value for other people. Myron Golden, who's one of my favorites, he's a business growth consultant I admire, says that wealth is created by impacting and changing other people's lives. Not just playing a basketball game as it pertains to this example, right? It's not just about playing the game. It's about impacting people's lives in a bigger way than just the 48 minutes of an NBA game, right? Or the 40 minutes of a college game. Think about all the companies making money off of basketball players, the jersey sponsors. Within the past 5 to 10 years in the NBA, we have jersey sponsors now, right? The arena sponsors, the Staples Center, which was the Staples Center for a very long time. It's now, crypto.com arena, I believe. Just think about the money, right, that is behind some of these deals, the merchandise sales. Like, everybody's profiting from the players' work. The 10X principle. 10X is easier than 2X. There's a book I love called 10X is easier than 2X. And the principle is this: the higher you aim, the less competition you have. Most people are stuck thinking small, and that's where all the competition is. But when you aim for a much bigger goal, fewer people are playing at that level, right? I think about this, right? I'll get into this later with a Kobe Bryant example, but if I were to tell you as a parent, right, just for those of you who are runners, let's say, or athletes, if I tell you in a week you're going to run 2 miles, right? Your schedule really isn't going to change. It's going to stay the same. You're probably in good enough shape if you're in the gym enough to run those 2 miles, and it's going to be fine. But if I told you in 6 months you're going to run a marathon, your schedule is going to have to drastically change. You're actually going to end up doing less in order to do more. You're going to hang out with some of the less of the friends you're hanging out with now, right? You're going to spend less time on your phone scrolling on social media because you have to invest more time into your health, your nutrition, your sleep, and things of that nature. So in order to go bigger, you actually have to lean down and do less. So the NBA collective bargaining agreement, the CBA, right? In the NBA, the CBA divides the revenue between players and owners, right? I want to say 50 to 51% of the revenue goes to the players, 450 players in the NBA. And those are constantly changing due to the short careers and new drafts, right? The average NBA career is only 3 years, right? But 49% of the revenue goes to the owners, and that's only 30 people, right? And most of them stay in the same place for years. Think about that difference, right? Owners are playing a different game than players. They're building wealth, not just making money. And if you want your child to build something lasting from basketball, they need to start thinking bigger now. They need to start thinking like owners. And that's something that we address in this program. Long-term success mindset, right? When you think long-term, like 10x thinking, as I was talking about above, you stop worrying about the competition. You're in a different field entirely. You're on a completely different court, in a different arena, right? Kobe Bryant famously said that he didn't care what anyone else thought of him. That's the mentality I want to help instill in your child. A mindset where they're not playing against others, but focused on their own greatness. Like, can you imagine your child having that kind of long-term success, built on a strong foundation, regardless of how far they go in the game, right? Preparing for life after basketball. LeBron James is about to turn about 40 years old, let's say. So he's turning 40 years old and is still playing at an elite level, but he's likely to live many more years after basketball. So your child needs to think beyond the court. How will they continue to thrive after the game is over? That's what this program prepares them for, success beyond the basketball court. Investing in the right help. Parents, I don't want you to think about this as someone taking your money. I would hate for you to think about it like that. I want you to see this as an investment in your child's long-term success. The best investment you can make is in the right help to get your child to the best place possible. When you invest in yourself and your child, no one can take that knowledge or experience away from you. You're no longer making risky decisions, you're making wise decisions because you're prepared for every single season in every single arena that may come. Right, whether it be college, the pros overseas, working as an executive in basketball, working as a physical therapist in basketball, whatever it is, you're going to know basketball at an intimate level so people can't take advantage of you. Your career is going to be on your own terms with this knowledge. And now you have choices to make, and now you have ammunition to go to war against some of these things that you're going to face in the future of your child's basketball career, right? Educational value. Applied education solves problems. You can read all the books and watch all the videos, which I will recommend books as we get to meet together, and parents will be meeting as well in this program. But if you don't know how to apply that knowledge, it's like giving someone a rocket but not teaching them how to fly it, right? It's a powerful tool, but you just don't know how to apply it. And my program gives you the tools and teaches you how to use them. Do you agree that knowing how to apply the right tools is more valuable than just having them? I certainly hope so. So the program breakdown, this is how it's going to look. Here's what my Elite Performance Accelerator looks like. It's a 3-month program where your child will receive one-on-one coaching with me weekly. We'll focus on their development on and off the court. I'll also meet with you, the parents, on a bi-weekly basis to answer your questions, talk through any challenges, and guide you in your role as a supportive parent. Once the group builds, we'll introduce group sessions for parents where you can learn from each other and share your experiences, right? So rather than the bi-weekly, it's going to be a weekly session, a round table amongst the parents in this group. And I will make the time to answer your questions one-on-one. And there's some things that you may not think about, but little Timmy's dad or Brittany's mom will think about these things and have these questions that may benefit you for the season that's coming up, right? And for parents who aren't able to attend these calls because of work, I understand that work comes up and during the day it can be difficult to have these conversations. What I offer you is the ability to send me these questions. I will answer these questions in our Zoom call. And from there, I'll send out the recording of the Zoom call to all the parents in the group so you all can stay abreast and in the know of what it is that we talked about and see your question answered. The 5 phases of development, right? So in this program, we'll go through the 5 phases of basketball development. So first we have children learning the fundamentals. Teens are applying the fundamentals within the rules. Adults are learning their roles within those rules within the game, right? Pros are mastering their strengths, and experts are learning how to maximize those strengths to benefit others, right? And another way I would say that pros are identifying their strengths. Strengths and roles. One of the biggest lessons I've learned is that true greatness comes from mastering your strengths and knowing your role, right? I think about this example. And Myron Golden, he has another quote. He says that there's nothing more useless than someone doing something exceptionally well that they have no business doing, right? So Shaq didn't need to shoot threes because he was the most dominant player under the basket, right? If he was the best three-point shooter on those Lakers teams in the early 2000s and shot like 45% from the field, that wouldn't help the Lakers at the end of the day. That would actually do the team a disservice, right? And that's what I'll help your child understand, what they're great at and how to use that to their advantage. So for me, my voice is my greatest strength. It's a skill that no one can take away from me. I've been able to change the atmosphere in gyms, lead teams, and now teach others because I know how to communicate. I'll help your child discover their own strengths and, more importantly, how to use them on and off the court, right? I'm currently not playing basketball at this moment. What I am doing is using the same voice that I'm able to step on the court and command attention with. And I'm also very skilled in a lot of other areas. There's no way I was able to average 20 and 9 as a professional just by relying on my voice. Still, my voice is a tool that allows me to make a difference in the world and impact others and create value for others and create wealth, even when I don't have a basketball in my hands, right? The expert level, at the expert level, what I'm doing now, right, isn't just calling out screens or making sure my teammates don't get blindsided. Now I'm using my voice to benefit others on a broader scale, sharing these principles with you so that you can take them into your own arenas, whether that's on the court, in training, or in life. The techniques and terminologies I teach in the Elite Performance Accelerator are rooted in real experiences. I've lived this. I've walked the walk, and that's crucial. You need to find teachers who do more than just talk. I talked to a parent the other day, like they're tired of talking. They're tired of hearing people who talk, right? I am not about talking. I'm about showing you results. I'm about creating these results in your child's life, right? And as I was saying, like the prospect's parent was telling me, you've talked the talk. Now I want to see you walk the walk. And this was about us getting on the phone to have a conversation about me working with their child. And that conversation is actually still to come this week. So that's exactly what this program is about, right? I'm showing you how to walk that walk. So your child might face challenges when they're away from home, playing in different leagues or even different countries. And these are some things that you might not have thought about as a parent, right? I have been there. I started my professional career in Moscow, Russia, and I didn't have the best relationship with the coaches. It was tough. I speak several languages I can get by in Russian in terms of basketball. Still, I felt like a fish out of water a lot of times, and it was challenging. My mental health suffered for sure. And now I have the tools to be able to build myself up and help other athletes build themselves up too when they're faced with adversity like that, preparing you beforehand before you step into those spaces. So the message was often different from the reality when I was in those environments, right? Especially in Russia, they said one thing and did another. In moments like that, your child needs to be prepared mentally and emotionally for these kinds of obstacles, especially when they're young and may not speak the language or understand the culture. That's so important, right? I've been fortunate enough to travel this world even before I was playing basketball professionally and communicate in different languages and meet different cultures around the world. I know how to navigate some of these spaces. I'll give your child the tools and the know-how and the wisdom to understand how to navigate these spaces and how to move how to move with wisdom into these spaces, right? Be as shrewd as a snake in some ways, right? And innocent as a dove in the same time in terms of being able to avoid conflict. And I think those are the best, that's the best preparation you can give somebody, right? It's not about being able to deal with conflict head on. It's about sometimes avoiding. That's the smartest strategy sometimes, avoiding some of the things that you may face when you go around the world, because people can be combative, right? The program structure, right? So over the next 3 months, this program will cover where you are now, right? We'll assess your child's current skill set, strengths, and areas of growth, where you want to go, and together we'll clarify your child's goals and ambitions in basketball. And I've talked to parents before. They're like, oh, I don't know what my child wants. It's like, this is what the program is for, right? We identify clearly iron out these goals for what your child wants. And number 3, how you'll get there. We'll build a plan that outlines actionable steps to achieve those goals. And by the end of these 3 months, whether we continue to work together or not, you and your child will have a blueprint for success. This program is about long-term growth for your child and the entire family. I cannot stress this enough. This is your whole family benefiting from this. It's not just about basketball. It's about setting everyone up for success. And again, this includes weekly hour-long one-on-one meetings with me and your child, and weekly hour-long parent group meetings. And once the transition is fully made, by the time you see this video, the transition will most likely have been made in terms of doing those weekly group meetings with parents. This is where parents in the group can ask me questions and gain support to help the child in between sessions. So I've seen firsthand the power of clearly defining what you want. And this is going back to step 2 up here, where you want to go, right? I've seen firsthand the power of clearly defining what you want. Back in high school, I remember playing ping pong with Devin Booker. For those of you who don't know, Devin Booker is the all-star with the Phoenix Suns. And me and him were the same high school class. And we're playing ping pong at LeBron James's camp in Las Vegas. And he asked me, he's like, Trey, do you want to make it to the NBA? And I said this. I said, if it happens, it happens, right? Now looking back, I see that was a mistake, and I learned from it, right? I wasn't confident enough to admit what I truly wanted because I was afraid of failing, afraid of rejection. And I love it when kids say, when young players say, okay, I want to make it to the NBA. Great, let's do it. Let's do it. Declare it, admit it. So that way you can actually so you can actually start to plan for success. Because if you don't plan for success, you're planning to fail, right? Many players, when asked about their goals, like I said, hold back from admitting what they want because they're afraid of the same thing, failing. But here's the truth. If you don't admit what you want, you're already setting yourself up for failure. It's better to declare it and work toward it, even if you fall short, than to never aim high. That's something I'll help your child with, setting and owning their goals without fear. How does that sound? Your child moving forward with that clarity to set those goals, knowing what they want and having the confidence to deal with adversity along the way. That's a powerful place to be in. How amazing is that? And in summary, right? So you've seen how mental toughness and simplifying the game can transform your child's basketball performance. The next step is to take action and invest in their future. The formula is simple. Mindset plus skills equals success. You might wonder what's so special about your program. Here's what. I've lived it. I've not only played professional basketball, but I've succeeded in both overseas and in the U.S., in the G League specifically. And I even played in training camp with the Houston Rockets, right? And I did this without ever playing AAU. I've never been on the travel circuit, right? I started to play with one team and then realized it wasn't the right fit and stepped away from that and was still able to dominate, being one of the best players in the state of Florida. I was first team All-State in 2014, my senior year, right? I averaged almost a triple-double in terms of points, rebounds, and blocks in Miami, Florida. I was voted the best player in the county. I was voted the best player in the region, right? I've achieved some amazing things within basketball. My final 3 options to go to school were Georgetown, Duke, and Florida. My freshman year of college, Duke won the national championship. My senior year of high school, Florida went to the Final Four. I ended up going to Georgetown, and I can talk more about that decision-making process in terms of how your child can choose the right school going forward, because I've learned, right? I've learned how to navigate some of these things, a lot of these things, and things that your child is stepping into soon. So If you want to teach your child, right, I've learned to dominate where I am. And that's something I want to teach your child. It's not about playing more games, right? It's not about mastering. It's about mastering the game you're already in. Dominate where you are. You might think this is expensive, but consider the cost of not investing, of not preparing, right? Any investment in terms of being able to avoid mistakes and save time is a worthy investment. I have a mentor, a coach who says it this way, that you can either spend two things in life. You can either spend your time trying to figure it out on your own, or you can spend the money and collapse time to be able to get to your desired goal a lot quicker without a lot of the same bruises and bumps that you would have had if you work with the right people and invest in the right coaching to get your child there, to get you there as a family, right? So I want you to think about this. Think about all the travel expenses for AAU. Think about the cost of gear and the time you're already spending. This program doesn't just add to that. This is not what it's about. It's not about adding. It simplifies everything. It's about actually subtracting some of these things so you can work smarter, not harder. Investing now could save you much more in the long run, especially when it comes to earning that free scholarship to college, right? So in terms of next steps, there's a link in the description to this video, right? I want you to click the link in the description below and book a call with me. Let's discuss how the Elite Performance Accelerator can take your child's game to the next level. Even if you're not ready to commit fully, let's hop on a call. We'll find the best path forward for your child. Let's do it. Let's make some decisions. And again, if the description that I had above in terms of who this is for, who this is not for, if this is you, let's hop on this call. Let's have this conversation, right? Let's take the next necessary step in your child's career, because time is precious. That window between where your child is in high school and that decision, right? Junior, senior year, I'm going to go to this school and play at this place. That window is closing. There's new competition every single year. There's no time to wait. It's about making these decisions. And again, if this is not you, if you're not ready to move forward, right? If you think you know it all, if you think you have everything figured out, don't bother. You shouldn't even watch to this point. But for those who are action takers, for those who are investors and long-term thinkers, parents, let's book a call. Let's have this conversation. I look forward to working with you. I look forward to working with your child and taking your family to the next level. All the best and God bless. We'll talk soon.